Aye, we give you the facts. It's not what you think. Popeye Newsling, Young King, 1 yard. Bless.
Good morning, Popeye. Grandma watch Popeyes every morning and every night.
What am I drink? What am I think? You're listening to Popeye News Links. This is the Admiral Tibet who I represent, and remember, the time is so serious, cantankerous and dangerous. This is Popeye News Links.
The first verse of the national anthem, it goes like this. Sing with me. Yeah man, stand up. Anywhere you are right now, get up and stand up. Stand at attention. You can stand at ease. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. So, here's some out, you know, when I was singing the chorus. Boom.
Praise the Lord for what He has done for me. He has set my spirit. Everybody get up, running, skipping. Praise the Lord for what He has done for me. Tell me this now. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. Let me hear you. He's alright, alright, alright. Everybody, everybody. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. What you think about Jesus? He's alright. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's alright, alright, alright. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside. Study one. Your time to shine. Everybody sing it for now. Study one, study one, study one no more. Study one no more. Ain't gonna study one no more. Study one no more. Press along, saints, press along in God's own way. Press along, saints, press along in God's own way. Persecution we must bear, trial and crosses in our way. But on the battle, the sins of the victory. Give it a mix now. Can't sit down, cast spirits in our way. 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 What's this now? What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Everybody now. Angels bow before Him. Heaven and earth adore Him. What a mighty God we serve. Sweet Jesus, what a wonder you are. You are brighter than a morning star. You are fairer, much fairer than the lily that grows by the way. More precious than gold. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Repeat after me, everybody. Amen. 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 One more time. Amen. Everybody. Amen.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How are you doing? Tell me if you are hearing me loud and clear. Just drop it in the comment section. Good evening, everybody. Are you hearing me? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Me not see no comments. You not hear me? Okay. So let me explain what happened last night. Last night, if you notice, there was a freeze about an hour into the presentation. It wasn't on our part, it was on the part of YouTube. I don't know what was happening, but I got the notification that there was something. So we decided on coming back tonight because some persons were saying we did a quarrel. So none of the questions were some of the questions were not answered. But you see, we have to do things orderly, you know, and assure it was on the screen that we would be taking the questions after the presentation. Unfortunately, we didn't get to take the questions. But if a presentation is being made, my common sense tell us, wait until it's done, and then we ask the question. That's all? Yeah, man, that's how it go. Anyhow, we are back tonight. But before we go in, before we bring Esther on, remember Different Strokes will be held next week, Saturday.
But I want you all to check me out on the 23rd of November. The place to be at Waves Beach in the Grill. Yeah, with yours truly, Lady G, with a thing called Different Strokes. You know, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And you know, so DJ Marvin, I got dada. DJ Delana, you don't know the thing setting up. DJ Big Red, so massive I want to all for roll out. Cause you know the thing I got sold out. No care my name, no spread no rumor, show me no respect, just come full joy on yourself. Lady G said that.
Yeah, man. Next week, Saturday. Next Esther, what go on? What are you touching me that singer?
And I'm singing dance for Lady G. Long time you don't song that. No care my name, no spread no rumor.
May I tell you? Yeah, next week Saturday, man. Different Strokes. You ever been to Different Strokes, Esther?
Yes, sir.
You ever been to Different Strokes?
No, sir. I'm not going to places, sir.
Okay. All right. We had an issue last night. I don't know what happened, but there was some freezing at the end of the presentation. Well, about an hour into the presentation, but we are back tonight. So I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add before we go into the questions.
Well, not particularly. What I did do, I went through the comments.
Yes.
And I saw some of the questions from last night. So what I did, I kind of made notes for those questions.
Yes.
I was thinking what I would do, I would start with those questions, kind of get those answers out.
Yes.
And then, if anybody else wanted to put some questions in the chat, and like they know as before, some things I can probably give them an idea, but some things may not be able to be fully explained in this type of setting, but I'll do my best. So I will, I did write it down right here, the questions from last night. So I know one person had asked, they said they were going to try for their visa before the end of the year. And they wanted to know, should they still go ahead? And I mean, the answer is yes, go ahead and still try for it, because the earlier they try, they're more likely that the Biden administrative policies will still be applied to their case, We all know how visitor visas are. It's almost like the luck, the luck of the draw type of thing. There's really no rhyme and reason when you go for your visitor's visa. And, people, I'm sure a lot of people listening right now can attest that they've been to the embassy. They have provided all the different documents that they asked for. They have the money in the bank account. They're married. They have kids. They have a house. They have strong ties to Jamaica. But, a lot of times they end up still not getting it. But to the person who asked that last night, I would say, yes, still go for it. Get your appointment, and go for it. It helps sometimes. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it does help sometimes if you have a specific purpose for coming to the U.S. So some people may be a graduation or a wedding or something. Sometimes that helps. It's not a foolproof thing, but sometimes it does help. Okay. Yes. Another person, their question was about traveling. The person said they were planning on traveling with their children for a vacation in February. And would that be a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for that person, it wasn't clear if they were in the US, did not have legal status, and wanted to travel within the US on vacation in February, or if they live in Jamaica, they have visitors visas and just wanted to come to the United States for vacation. That question was not clear. And
Okay.
so I was just gonna reiterate what I said last night for if you're here and you don't have legal status and you're planning to travel, just to be mindful of some things about taking precautions. And so I kind of looked this up a little bit, and I found that there were 16 states in the 16 states here, or 16 individual states that actually have agreements with ICE to help them catch and deport immigrants.
Wow.
But those agreements are kind of like county by county.
Okay.
So like in one state, it may not be every county, but some counties are a part of that. So some states like Florida and Texas help ICE in almost every single county in that state. But you have other states like Maryland, for example, only help ICE in a few counties.
Okay.
So it's more dangerous to drive in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas. Another thing I brought up last night about, not flying by plane, but probably taking the bus or the train. You know that Amtrak doesn't normally take ID. And for the most part, they don't really cooperate with ICE, maybe unless they got some type of, they have to serve a warrant for somebody, for some type of criminal issue. The person had asked about February, like I said. The new president comes into office January 20th, I believe. So after that, then a lot of rules will get tougher. So if the person is here, then those are some of the things, I would say pay attention to. If they're in Jamaica and they're coming just for a regular vacation, it should be fine. One of the things people should remember also, one way that Jamaicans sometimes get in trouble with coming into the United States is when they have come here on their visitor's visa. They didn't overstay, but they kind of stayed a little bit too long. So they came, they stayed for 3 months, they went back down, and they're coming back again, maybe less than 6 months later to spend time again. Sometimes those type of trips will draw attention. So to that person who asked, or to anybody else, just kind of take note of your trips, and just, make sure that you're not coming here too often or staying too long. Yes, they had given you 6 months, but I've said it before in previous episodes, like don't stay here too long, because it gives the idea that you're not working and you're trying to stay here. So that's for that question. The third question that I was asked last night, persons were asking about if you're going on a farm working program as a housekeeper for 3 years, can you apply to live in the US? And what do you have to do to stay there? And so those are persons who are on H-2B visas. There are a lot of H-2B persons here in the US from Jamaica. You can change your status from H-2B to something else, but you just kind of have to figure out, what do you qualify for? It's not just a matter of, because you have H-2B, you can just immediately go to a particular thing. I think the biggest issue that H-2B workers face is, how do they maintain status while they're waiting for the new thing to come through? You understand? So you have, for example, say you're an H-2B, you have an H-2B visa, you're here. Some ways it works a little bit smoothly is, say, for example, marriage is always the example that'll get thrown out. But in that way, you can actually switch and adjust status from H-2B. But if you're on an H-2B and your employer is trying to switch your status to try to get you a green card, that ends up actually being a lot more complicated, and it has to be carefully planned, because most often the best option is that you would return to Jamaica, wait for the processing to complete, and then come back to the US. Because if you stay here while you wait, you end up being out of status, and then ironically losing out on the very benefit that you were waiting for. So that's something to be mindful of. The next question that I was asked last night, I think 2 or 3 people asked this question. If you give birth to a baby on a visa, can you lose your visa until you pay the hospital bill?
Esther, Esther,
Yes.
something happened a while ago and I wasn't on for a moment, but I'm wondering if everything was okay because I had to log out and log back.
Oh, so that's why my screen changed and I was the only one on the screen. That is funny. I don't know, people can let you know, were they still hearing me or what? Were they hearing me still?
I'm wondering because viewers, were you hearing Esther a while ago?
Was it interrupted in any way?
I'm trying to find out. I'm not oh yes, she was coming through. All right, you were coming through fine. All right, go ahead, Esther.
Okay. All
okay,
right.
okay, yes.
You know, I kind of wondered, I didn't hear you, you know. Okay.
Yeah, man, I was out for a while.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. And so question 4 that the person asked, I don't know if you heard when I read it. It said, if you give birth to a baby on a visa, can you lose your visa until you pay the hospital bill?
Okay.
So here's a short breakdown of that. If you have a baby here in the United States and you have used government aid, state money or federal money for that delivery and prenatal care, they will probably interpret that as a violation of your visa. So that's where a lot of people sometimes end up in issues, because quite often the issue usually comes up when they have to either 1, renew the visa, or 2, sometimes when they're coming in with that child, because you're coming in with a visa, you're coming in with like a 2-year-old, and you're presenting a U.S. passport for this child as a citizen, yet you have a visitor's visa. And the officer is saying, okay, what happened here? So there have been times they have turned people away, you know, coming in because they suspected that, okay, maybe you came here. They don't know that you paid for it. Maybe you did pay for it, but they don't know that. So quite often, sometimes they will revoke your visa at that point, or just send you back to Jamaica and have you prove that you use your own funds. And I've seen a lot of cases like that, not only for giving birth, having a baby here, but for any other medical procedure. I find that it happens in New York a lot. New York is very welcoming of immigrants, but it has a good and a bad side of it. So a lot of people can tell, you know, there are a lot of hospitals in New York that you can go there and get different types of assistance for whatever medical need you may have. However, getting that benefit is one thing, but quite often the fact that you took that type of aid backfires on you later on when you're applying for some other type of status. Yes. In fact, even right now on the green card application forms, it kind of asks questions. Have you ever received any type of state or government help?
Yes.
So that itself can actually make your case a lot harder. So I would say to persons, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, don't have your child here. I mean, people are free to, you know, do what they want to do, but it is something to be just a little bit mindful of. And I would say, don't take state aid. Don't be filling out a lot of these forms. Sometimes people will have, you know, convince you to fill the forms out. Sometimes using somebody else's social security number to do it. That's fraud. And if that stuff gets, you know, if it gets found out, then you have to then go through, you know, the process of unraveling that whole thing. So yes. I think a lot of persons, I think more than one person asked about that last night. But I'm not saying all of this to say, oh, it's now doom and gloom for you guys. It's just a matter of be mindful. I mean, if you've done it already, it is what it is. I'm not saying they're going to come down on everybody, but there's always the possibility that you could be asked about it or asked to pay it back. I have had cases at the embassy in Kingston where in order for the person to get approved, they had to prove that they had paid the bill, whatever bill it is, or they had to prove that they had paid it themselves and had not received state aid.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing. Another question I think the person said, can an immigrant apply for a work permit? So, I mean, I think what they may have been asking was just basically, if you're not born here, if you're from another country and they're in the United States, can you apply for a work permit? The short answer is yes. Yes, you can, but you need to have a basis for applying for the work permit. So work permits have about, I would say, maybe close to 30, 40 different categories that you could qualify under, but most of them are tied to some larger benefits. So quite often a work permit is like a short-term interim benefit while you're waiting to go to, a green card or something.
Yes.
So that's one thing, you'd have to know, what do you qualify for? A lot of people get work permits right now because they're waiting for a green card. So while they are in the process of getting a green card, they can apply for a work permit while they wait. Then you have people, for example, who have applied for asylum. We know that asylum, when you apply for asylum, within 150 days of your application being filed, you can apply for a work permit, and that work permit is normally issued on the 180th day. So you have two ways of doing it. You can apply after 5 months, you'll get it at the 6th month, or at the 6th-month mark, you can apply for it, and normally they process them super fast, the asylum work permits. So that's one quick way that people get, work permits. There are other categories, one interesting work permit category, which now is going to be kind of dangerous, but people who had an order of removal. So if you had been ordered removed by an immigration judge, but because you have a clean record, you have not been arrested for anything, quite often your deportation officer will just allow you to stay and not put you in a plane back to your home country. And if your deportation officer allows you to stay, you can actually apply for a work permit and work here until they decide, so maybe you should go, or maybe something else works out for you. So that's actually a kind of, not well known, but there are quite a few people here. Some I know, some clients I have, who have been here for years and years, and they just renew that particular work permit every year. But the short answer, like I said at the beginning, not to repeat myself, but there are different types of work permits that you could qualify for, but to be honest, it's usually tied to a greater, more permanent benefit that you are eligible for.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the other question, I may have answered it. Yep. The person said, if you're in America for 6 months, can you work? And I think they were referring to perhaps the asylum, like I just talked about. They may have heard, because a lot of people, that's the word on the streets. Most people know if you're here after 6 months, you can get a work permit. It's probably because you would have applied for asylum. Okay. And I know a lot of people have been trying to go that route because it's, it seems to be an easy route. You apply for asylum, within 6 months, you get a 5-year work permit. So people like that because then with that work permit in hand, you get your social security card, you're able to get a driver's license, and you can pretty much apply to any job anywhere in the US because you have legal authorization to work. Yes. So a lot of people go that route, but there is going to come a day when you will have to go before either the judge or an asylum officer to explain what is it you're afraid of in your home country, why you don't want to go back. And just giving them just some story is not going to be sufficient. You're going to have to substantiate it with evidence. Yes. Real evidence, real stories, and real situations. So just saying, boy, my neighborhood bad and whatever, it's not going to be enough to move them, especially since Jamaica is really not one of the worst places in the world, But there are people who have real fear in Jamaica, real situations. And those people, if they get before the right judge, they will get asylum. So, yeah, that's one thing. I think there was one more question, and I see one that I'm gonna right. The person had talked about same thing again. Like I said, more than one person asked about where things gonna change about giving birth to a baby in the United States, and I think they're referring to what has come up about birthright citizenship, because the way it is now, I think it's in the Constitution that once you're born here, you are a U.S. citizen. And I know that's one thing that President Trump talked about, to say he was going to get rid of that.
Yes.
That's not something that's not an overnight change.
Yeah.
That's not something that's going to just happen just like that. He would have to go through a lot of steps, a lot of processes to make that change in the Constitution. And you think about it, where will he put the mark, because this has been happening forever. So a lot of people here are citizens, then suddenly a lot of people would not have qualified as citizens. I mean, like, you'd be really crazy. So that's something that we will see in time to come, if he's going to approach it, how he will approach it. But for now, it still stands.
Yes.
If you're born here, you're a U.S. citizen, in terms of being physically born in the country. Right. Somebody said they were planning on applying for a visa, and they wanted to know the process and what they will need. I'll just touch on that briefly. Visitor's visa, most people know you apply with the form DS-160. There's a filing fee attached to it. To be honest, I think it's $185 for a visa.
Yeah, 185. Yeah.
Right. And usually you have to prove to them, I mentioned it when I just started, that you have enough things that's going to make you return to Jamaica, because it's actually in the manual that these people who interview you, they are literally trained that everybody who is coming before them is not going to go back to their home country. And so it's your job to convince them that you will.
Yes.
So, when you go for the interview, sometimes they look at your application and they already made up their minds before they even met you. That is why for a lot of people, you go in, you have all these papers or whatever, you go in before them and they say to you, like, what is your name or whatever they say. And then they say, I'm sorry, ma'am, I cannot give you a visa today. And they give you that paper. And it's like, in 30 seconds, the interview over. And it's just like, your head spin like, what just happened?
Yes.
They kind of just looked at your profile, and in their minds, they're saying, there's nothing this particular person can show me or say to me to convince me that they are going to return to Jamaica. But of course, like I said, it's not a hard and fast rule, because everybody on this YouTube tonight knows somebody who just get it. And him now work, and him sit on a yard, and him go embassy, and him just get visa. And me who have a good job from how long? You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
we all have those stories. So like I said in the beginning, in some ways, it ends up being almost like a luck of the draw. And who you get, and most officers, they're pretty tough. They're pretty tough when it comes to visitor's visa. But to answer the question fully, you would complete that form, pay the application fee, look for an appointment. Once you pay the fees and go back on the system, you're able to see the appointment dates and select a date and time that works best for you. When that date comes, you're going to go to the embassy in Kingston with your evidence in hand. If you're trying to visit because you're coming to an event, it could be a conference, it could be a trap meet, it could be a wedding, it could be a graduation, or you're just visiting friends or family, you'd bring that type of evidence. You would bring evidence to show that you are going to return to your home country, whether it's a letter from your job, you're showing that you have money in the bank, you're showing proof that this trip, a round trip ticket. Well, sometimes they tell you don't buy the ticket ahead of time because you don't know if you're going, but at least a projected itinerary to say, I'm going to be going to be going for 2 weeks, that type of thing, So that in a nutshell is kind of like what you would do going for a visitor's visa. There are ways to kind of beef up the application, but it's on an individual basis. So, I do visitor visa applications every now and again. And when I do, I try to spend time to figure out what can I do to make this application a lot more solid, type of thing. So like I said, it's on an individual basis. Somebody asked me, was I from Westmoreland, Burnt Savannah? I'm not from Burnt Savannah. My dad is, but that's probably where you've heard the name McKitty before, because my father is from Burnt Savannah. I see a question here.
Yes.
Someone is asking, can I file for my grandchildren without filing for their father? Short answer, no. So grandparents are not able to file for their grandchildren. So that's always something I know a lot of grandparents would love to do, to be able to just help their grandkids. But that category is not one of the relationships, like mother filing for child or adult child filing for their parent or siblings filing for each other if you're citizens, that type of thing. There's no category for a grandparent filing for a grandchild. Okay, if you're in the United States and you came there by crossing the border and married an American and filing for asylum, can you be deported? I mean, maybe not, but if it is that you came over the border and you were apprehended by border officials, and you were placed in detention, and now you have, last night I talked about having an NTA, which is a notice to appear in immigration court. You will go through the court process itself. And more than likely, when the judge says to you, or the judge says to your attorney that you may have hired, what do you, are you pleading to these charges that we have against you? And what's your form of relief? Do you have something that's going to allow you to stay here, type of thing? Your answer is probably going to be, I would like to file for asylum because I'm afraid of going back to Jamaica, or I am married to a U.S. citizen and that person, whether, husband or wife, whatever it is going to file for me. Yes. I will add that because you came over the border, you will have some extra steps to kind of finish it out. So you have one or two things. Some people kind of ride both options until one comes through first. Mm-hmm. So some people would have had an asylum application pending, and then somewhere along the way, they met someone and the relationship developed into something, tangible and real. And after that, they ended up getting married, and then that person started filing paperwork for them. Some people just have both applications going, yes. And whichever one kind of works out first, type of thing. That's what I've seen people do that. I've had situations like that happen before. But when you do come here over the border without inspection, you will have to file an I-601A waiver to be able to finish out the green card process.
Yes.
If it is, though, that you went the asylum route, you had a valid claim, you were really targeted in Jamaica, you can prove it, and you win asylum, and the judge grants you asylum. Once you've been granted asylum, within, you can get that, without leaving the country, one. And two, once you've been granted asylum, within a year, you can then apply for your green card. So, asylum, when granted, does what it does. It does work, so.
As you're on that question, somebody was saying if you apply that question.
No, I guess I'll answer this one and then go back to the one you had before.
Yes, before, yes.
Okay. If you have applied for asylum and you were successful, can you travel back to your country after you get your green card? I wouldn't. Come on. You just cry and bawl to the people that must say the place. You're afraid that you're going to dead anymore, kill anymore, chop you up. And then as soon as you get the green card, you're gone. Like, that just brings off, red flags immediately, Yeah. It could cause issues for you. It could cause issues for you even when you're, trying to apply for citizenship. Yes. It could be that when you're re-entering the country, the CBP officer has a problem with it because each green card has a classification as to how you got it.
Okay.
Guys, forgive me for touching my nose. I don't know why my nose is scratching. I cannot tell you why. It is a scratch we can't done. If anybody can put in the comments, say when a nose scratch you, what that mean? So the hand scratch you means you get money. Well, when a nose is scratch you, please tell me because my nose will just not stop. But yeah, so there is a code on the green card that tells you what category you got the green card under. So, an officer could look at it and be like, wait, you got this green card in the first place. You decided to travel was the very country you claimed persecution and fear from. So I would be mindful of that. People do it sometimes, but sometimes it's like an emergency situation or whatever it is type of thing. So it varies. I wouldn't say let that be your first choice, type of thing. I said, don't let it be your first choice of places to travel to. So it's like a choice you have to make when you're going this route. Can I really deal with the fact that I may never go back there? And are you okay with that? And some people are. Some people really are because they're genuinely afraid and they don't want to have anything to deal with, to deal with back there. The Jamaican cases for asylum, most times it's on LGBTs, gangs, or like political violence.
Yes.
So there's quite a bit of that. I've had some clients come through. I'm going through some right now that have like political claims and stuff like that. And it's real. It's like real stuff. There is the evidence to show and stuff. The LGBT. Like I said, that also is one thing that can probably work with Jamaica. I say probably work, and I say probably because you never know what judge you're going to get. But if it's properly documented, you have the evidence. Not say you wake up this morning and say, "Yeah, McGee," not really work like that.
Yes,
You got to show this a lifestyle. You got to show what type of persecution have you faced, like what are the issues you have dealt with since you have come out as as living that lifestyle and stuff. So you have to show it. You can't just wake up one morning and decide that's what I'm going to do and then somehow make up your story, because when you do have your asylum hearing, you are questioned. It's not as administrative or paperwork based like some of the other applications. Like with the green card, a lot of it is on the forms, and you may have an interview for a little bit. But the asylum, they will question you for 3 to 5 hours if they need to.
Okay.
Yeah. So they wanna you have to we have to prepare. You have to really prep the clients for those hearings. And the other side, they will dig. But sometimes if we write a really good brief about the issue, quite often the other side will look at what we've written, and we've gone into some hearings and they're like, well, what you wrote was so good, we don't even want to talk to your client. We are in agreement that they should probably get asylum type of thing. That's not all the time, but it has happened, type of thing. But yeah, so the next question. When a US citizen files for their wife, how long does it take to approve? A year or 6 months? I'm gonna say something funny. It takes a year and 6 months, like literally. Mm-hmm. Those I-130 petitions are taking upwards of 18 months. Mm-hmm. It used to take about 6 months for the first part to come through. So if you're in Jamaica, the person over here filed for you, normally the first part would take about 6 months. A lot of my cases right now, the wait time has just gone up, like big time. I have cases that I filed last year, February.
Yes.
I-130s that are still pending. Mm-hmm. One particular case I called today, and I said to the lady, your processing time, because they're so tricky, immigration tricky. Sometimes the clients think we're lying, but I promise you, immigration tricky, and sometimes I'm wicked. Because if you go online and check the processing time, it says 15.5 months.
Yes.
So this particular case, I filed it, I think, February 6th, 2023. So let's do the math. February to February this year is 12 months. So March, April, May is 15 months. So basically halfway through June is 15 and a half months. Mm-hmm. So based on what they have on their website, they are over the time by July, August, half of June, July, August, September, October, and November.
Yes.
And I call them today and the lady says to me, I'm sorry, we're still in our processing times. And please don't call us back about this case until December 28th. And I said to her, so you're telling me that these wait times are basically almost up to 2 years? Mm-hmm. And she had no answer for me. Yes. So that's kind of frustrating sometimes, because you see the processing times online, and yet when you call in, and then she had the nerve to tell me, and it's subject to change. Mm-hmm. Say if I call back December 29, she might tell me, say, if we call her a couple months again. So the wait times have been really going up lately, like big time. Yes. So that's one thing I've noticed. Mm-hmm. This person's question says, what if you're married, going through VAWA, which is the abuse process, put it in short terms, because my husband neglected me. I got a 5-year work permit with travel documents, but the green card is still pending. Is this okay? That's typical. VAWA cases take 4 to 5 years. And that's why I have to, I always remind, when people come to me with VAWA claims, I have to remind them, you're going to be in it for the long haul. It's going to be a ride. It's going to be some time. Quite often they get frustrated and it'll take too long or whatever, but that's just how VAWA cases are. Mm-hmm. The approvals I'm getting from my VAWA cases right now are cases that I filed in 2019.
Okay.
2019 and a couple of them in 2020. That's how long they do take. So, which is why they give you that 5-year work permit and travel authorization, because they give you something to at least be able to work.
Yes.
The travel part, I say do it with discretion. And I'll say, I think I've brought it up before in prior interviews, just to say, don't just travel for travel's sake. If you have to travel, if you have to go to Jamaica, then by all means, take the trip, using your advanced parole travel document. But don't let it be that he just gone out there for, ATI and all these things and some fests and whatever, just going to party and stuff, because you don't know which officer you may encounter coming back.
Yes.
Type of thing. Like, let me be for a solid reason that so-and-so was not doing well and I had to go down there to see about them. Like, nobody wants sickness or death, but it's a part of life.
Yes.
And quite often, those are the better reasons to travel. But to that person, yes, you will have a little bit more waiting time. I will say this to the VAWA applicants. For the last couple of years, there have not been a lot of interviews for VAWA applicants. The green card just comes in the mail. However, I would anticipate that they are probably going to start interviewing VAWA applicants for the green card. Those interviews can get tricky. There have been a lot of horror stories because when you go into that interview, they're not supposed to ask you about the abuse. But some officers like to take the liberty and try to open back the abuse section of your case to say, well, let's talk about this abuse. So quite often as the attorney, we have to say to them, the I-360 has already been approved. It has already been proven that my client was a victim of abuse, and you're not allowed to interview them right now about that. We are here about the I-485, the green card, and so we are here to discuss, does my client have any other inadmissibility issues that would prevent them from getting the green card? But where it is concerned about them having been abused, that's already decided. So I would say, not to frighten anybody, but just to say there could be, a resurgence of VAWA interviews.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I'm just saying, the person's probably wanting to know, is Trump going to mess with them? Maybe. But when all is said and done, I don't know. To that person that asked the question, is your I-360 already approved? If it is, then the hardest part is over. And if you don't have any, criminal records and stuff to contend with, you're in a pretty good place.
Okay.
Someone says, when you're undocumented and you're here for 20 plus years, what is the outcome of your status? I guess they're trying to ask me, what can happen for them? It depends. It depends. I mean, there's so many factors that would have to come into play for me to give you a proper answer. I would have to really talk with you one-on-one to find out, how did you come here? When did you come here? Do you have any relatives here? Like a number of things. There's so many things that could probably give you a way out, but I don't know. Did you come here and leave? Have you ever been deported and then you came back in, or whatever? There's a number of things I would have to question you to find out, do you have any options? Maybe you do, but I wouldn't be able to just tell you just based on the fact that you've been here for 20 plus years, because a lot of people are in that situation. Some persons who are in that position don't have any options at the moment, type of thing.
Yes.
How long does it take for you to get your green card after doing your biometrics? That varies. It really varies. I'm not sure what the current processing time for green cards. I know for some service centers, I looked up one the other day, and the processing time was 12 and a half months. But again, like I told you, how I call them today, I call USCIS today. And even though the system told me one time frame, she telling me a whole other thing, and she letting me know she's not going to put my case in for supervisory review because I'm not yet at the stage where they should be looking at it to say what's wrong. So the person who asked that question, I would say it depends on what your green card is based on.
Mm-hmm.
Based on marriage, if it's based on asylum, if it's based on VAWA, if it's based on what your job filed for you, is a number of things that would determine the processing time, because each green card application goes to a different place and it goes through a different process. The biometrics is pretty early in the process. Normally, as soon as the application goes in, within like a month, you get a biometrics notice. They kind of do that as early as they can so they can run your prints and see if there's anything crazy with you going on.
Okay.
How long does a CR1 visa take, start to finish, with a stepchild involved? It depends. Again, so I guess they're asking about a conditional resident, because I see they put in a CR1. So I'm going to assume that in this situation, I'm just going to make a general example. a lady from Jamaica has a child that is under 18, and she has married a U.S. citizen. And with that marriage, that U.S. citizen husband is going to file for that lady from Jamaica and her child that is under 18. If they are both here in the United States, then they can file the I-130, the I-485, do the adjustment of status all together. That process, like I'm saying, it varies. I had one recently, it got approved in 4 months, start to finish. That was like, oh, wow, kind of thing. Then I have others been languishing for different reasons. And again, last night I brought it up where I said, no two cases are the same. Sometimes one small thing about your case will cause your case to be delayed and somebody else who seem to have pretty similar facts. But to answer the question, I would say on average about 18 months, start to finish 18 months if the person is here. They're in Jamaica, it might be a little longer. Again, a lot of factors that will determine that timeline. Somebody wanted to ask, once I marry my Jamaican boyfriend, will he be approved for a visiting visa during the process? Maybe not, because the visitor visa application asks about, are you married? When did you get married? Who are you married to? Where is your spouse? That type of thing. Once they see that you are married to a U.S. citizen, quite often they already assume that you're going to come here to live because you're going to be with your spouse. And one of the requirements of a visitor visa is that you have plans to go back to your country. So it's almost contradictory that you are applying for a visitor visa because at some point in the near future, you are going to be coming to the United States to live. So for some people, the way I've seen it work is that they already had a visitor's visa. Yes. And so they're able to still keep traveling on it. Okay. The issue comes up when the I-130 gets approved or they have to go back in to renew the visa. That's when things get a little dicey. And the embassy may be like, well, we see on the system here that an I-130 is pending for you. So we're not going to give you another visa. Some people have gotten it renewed without an issue. Again, they don't have a rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
This person wanted to know what will happen to the H-2B that is out of country. I am concerned about what will happen or if it will cut off after some time. To be honest, anything is possible. There is a possibility that they could suspend some of these programs. There are talks already, I mentioned last night about the temporary protected status for some countries, for example, could be suspended. It could be that he decides that we are going to keep these jobs within the US and we're going to find people here who can do the jobs. But we all know them can't find nobody here, which is why the program exists.
Yes.
But I remember some years ago, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was, when the H-2B program had been significantly reduced. I don't know if some of you on the chat here remember that. It was years ago, maybe 10 years ago or so. And then it kind of got revived and revamped and they started taking the numbers again from Jamaica like they used to do prior to that. Because I remember 2005, 2006, 7, 8. I mean, it was booming. Everybody had come up on program. There were different programs, different agencies all over Jamaica that you could sign up with. And then when it got to about 2011, 12, I felt like things was a big lull, And then I see in recent years that there has been an uptick again. Yes. So again, there are ebbs and flows with programs like that. And it is possible that it could be reduced, but it's my hope that they would continue the programs because the need is here. All those sports and stuff, they need the workers.
Yes,
There's no bones about it. I mean, that's how I came here back in 2006.
Yes.
I came to a hotel in Arizona. But yeah, I mean, the need is there. They need workers. How long does it take when a mother files for her daughter that's over 30 years old? That is probably, well, the first question is the mother a citizen? And the second question is this daughter married or unmarried? That is going to determine the processing time, because the visa bulletin that gets published every month, it determines how long you have to wait for a visa number. They call them preference categories. And those categories get a certain number of visa numbers every year. What happens is there are more applicants than available numbers. And because of that, there's like a constant rollover and backlog. So one example, for example.
Yeah.
Like citizens filing for their siblings, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
That they're currently processing applications that were filed in 2008. So that's a 16-year wait. That's the longest one. And that's the one I know off the top of my head. Most of the others, they're processing cases that were filed in 2015, 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So for the person that asked just now, it's probably like a 7 to 8 year wait.
Yes.
If you're filing for an adult child.
Okay.
Can a 19-year-old citizen who is going to college in the US file for her sister who's 4 years old? Well, first of all, the 19-year-old would need to be a citizen to file for anybody. So I'm going to assume this 19-year-old is a citizen. However, that 19-year-old would not be able to file for her sibling until they turn 21. So they would have a couple more years to go before they file for that sister. And like I just said, that sister would have to wait, 16 years from 2008. Do the maths. We can't add right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that 4-year-old would be 20 before they would come here. If this, well, not even 4, because they can't file right now. So the child would be 6 before they would even be able to put the application in. And based on the current wait time of 16 years, that child would be 22.
22, yeah.
Before they would get here. And one of the things I will mention is that that category is one category that has always been threatened to be eliminated, the brother and sister category.
Okay.
So, yeah, if they were ever to cut anything, that's the category that's probably going to get chopped first.
Mm-hmm.
Is citizens being able to file for their siblings.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What if I was married in the past and during the interview they had issues that led them to believe my case is fraud, but I got divorced since? Can I get remarried and file a new case? Yes, you can get remarried. Yes, you can file a new case. The issue is what's going to happen when that new case has been filed. What's going to happen? More than likely, they are going to question you about that first marriage because they have the record on you. And so quite often what they do, they force you, sorry, something's falling off my desk. They force you to prove to them that that first marriage was not fraud. And if you're unable to do that, they're not going to approve the second case. Now, there have been 1 and 2 people who have been able to. There have been cases where they didn't ask about the first case for whatever reason. You got a very nice officer and then just make you go through. So I know people have seen in the comments, well, someone said do it and they never ask them and it work out. That's good. But typically what happens is that they take you back to that first marriage and they want to find out, okay, what happened? Can you give me some, evidence? Can you show me proof of what happened? Now, because they suspected fraud, you're going to really have to overcome that presumption of fraud. Why did they think your case was fraudulent? Did your spouse, confess or admit to something that made them think it was fraud? Was it that you just didn't have enough evidence and they thought that was fraud? I mean, there are a lot of factors to consider because I've seen cases where the marriage was real, everything was good. They had evidence and immigration just really never liked the people in, just honestly, you know? And so cases like that, we fight tooth and nail because we see that the marriage is valid and that it was valid at the time. It's probably, they have not married somebody else. And we can bring the evidence together and, present to USCIS to say, this marriage was real, this was a real marriage. These are the holes that they did not fill in at the time of first application. So we're giving you that. And now we're presenting to you a new relationship. Or sometimes it's the same relationship that's going back again before immigration. They got denied once, but they want to try again because it is real. But there are some that are just straight up fraudulent, type of thing. There's some like that. I had one recently, that they'll go where you live. People, you've heard the stories.
Yes.
Go where you say you live because you provided a lease, and you know, say you type up the lease on your laptop and say you live so and so on your rent and you're paying all this thing or whatever it is, and they do site visits. They do still go to homes. It's not a big thing like it used to be like back in the 80s and 90s, but they still do home visits. I had a case not too long ago where immigration called my church.
Yes.
The clients, you know, they go to my church. And so they had done the interview the week before, and the officer showed up at church. Oh my God, it was so crazy. Because, you know, it was my girlfriend. And so she texted me and she was just like, oh my God, the officer is here. I was like, what officer? She said, immigration. It's a maternal. I said, man. I said, Jesus. But he wanted to check them out.
Yes.
He sat there for the entire service. And when the service ended, he walked over to them, said hi, shook their hand, and he walked out. And the wicked part about it, him sit down on the case like one next 2 months before him approve it.
Wow.
You know, but they still do it. They'll show up at your workplace, show up where you say you live, and they'll ask questions. So, you know, that those kind of things, you know, if you have that type of discrepancy when you would have done your interview or whatever, they would suspect fraud. But not every case, because they suspect fraud, is fraud. And a lot of times it can be overcome and fought with the right evidence and the right, what do you call it? I don't say arguments, but certain statements or whatever we write. I'm pulling a blank right now. But yeah, I filed for my unmarried children since 2015. They are yet to get an appointment. What do you think is holding up the process? More than likely, they may still be waiting for a visa number to become available. Just as I was talking earlier about the wait times, I'm going to assume that these unmarried children are over 21. And so 2015 until now is 9 years. It is a little bit long. I guess to this person, I would say to you, have you completed the NVC process? Have you paid all your fees to the NVC? Have they submitted their police records, their passport? Have you submitted your tax return, all those things? Did the NVC say you are documentarily qualified and you're just waiting for an interview? If the answer to all of that is yes, then maybe there's just a long wait for an interview. If the answer to most of those questions are no, then you probably have still quite a bit of processing and document processing to do before you get to the stage for there to be an interview.
Yes.
Can you file for citizenship if you have a domestic misdemeanor charge? I touched on that a little bit last night. It's going to depend on when it happened. If it happened within the last 5 years and you're trying to apply for citizenship, I would tell you no, don't apply because you probably wouldn't get approved. But if it's happened outside of the 5-year statutory period, they're going to want to see some type of rehabilitation from you. They're going to want to know, how did this case end? Were you found guilty? Did you plead? Did you go on probation? Did they give you a PBJ? I mean, what did they do about this case? And so, yes, my nose still a scratch me, sorry. They're going to want to know, see what was the outcome of the case, especially if it was outside. If it has been more than 5 years, the officer would want to kind of see what has happened since then and what have you done now to turn your life around. I mean, I had a guy, I'm going to say a couple of years ago. I mean, he did everything he was not supposed to do. I mean, prostitution, drugs, everything. I mean, vote. I mean,
Oh, yes.
but, you know, we fought, you know, but it had been years ago. But of course, it was so extensive. And he was determined, because some people like, you know, want to say, we want citizenship for. Like, really? You see, I love something where you really want to bring up that? Because when you go for citizenship, like I said last night, they put you under the microscope. So then dig up your whole life. So for him, I remember the evidence package, it was a big so.
Whoa.
It was like 500-600 pages of evidence and arguments and documentation that we submitted for him, you know, and then he got approved. No, and everybody will probably get approved with that type of, you know, track record per se. But, you know, it's a lot of things can be overcome, you know, even when it goes under the microscope. Once the I-130 is approved, how long until my husband will be in the States? Okay, so I'll walk you through that process real quick. When the I-130 gets approved, it then gets sent over to the National Visa Center. The National Visa Center sends out an email to let you know we have received your petition and we are ready to begin processing the paperwork to bring your relative from their home country. The NVC has gotten really good. Back in the day, you have to wait till 2, 3, 4 months before they get back to you. Now, when you fill out the application on the NVC website, which is a DS-260, when you file that, pay the fees, you do the affidavit of support, the police record, the copy of their passport, marriage certificate, and the divorce certificates, all of that stuff. When you upload all of that to the NVC, they are taking like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to check it all and let you know this is missing, that is missing. If everything is good, that first go around, they will let you know everything is good and you are now documentarily qualified. And now we're going to put you in the line, in the queue to get an interview date from your home country. Each country has its own wait time.
Okay.
So for example, my clients in like Nigeria and Ghana, they wait 2 years after they had all their documents to get an interview.
Wow.
Kingston is not so bad. Kingston varies. I can get dates in Kingston after like 4 months, 5 months, you know, roundabout for most categories. But each country, their embassy, it depends on their you know, how busy the embassy is. I mean, Jamaica is actually pretty busy, but I have noticed that they've gotten really good in getting interviews scheduled. So to answer that question, if all things were sailing really smooth from the approval of the I-130 until your husband gets to the United States, it could be definitely way less than a year.
Yes.
All things being equal, all documents are in place, that type of stuff. It could be way less than a year. If a brother filing for a brother for 17 years, everything has come through, just waiting for a call to the embassy. If the petitioner dies, will everything be stopped? That is a very it's a common situation. It happens a lot. It depends. It really depends on where you are in the process. I have seen it where depends on where you are in the process. Sometimes you're able to substitute the petitioner in terms of, because what they're looking for is the sponsor, the affidavit of support. So depending, sometimes you may be able to, and I use the word may because it's a very grayish kind of situation. You may be able to substitute the petitioner, the sponsor in part of it, get somebody else who is a US citizen or a green card holder to be able to submit their tax return and file an I-864 on your behalf and be able to request what is known as humanitarian reinstatement. So you see that every now and again, you know, like I said, the person is in Jamaica, the relative was here, the relative have passed away. You can apply for humanitarian reinstatement. The interesting thing about humanitarian reinstatement, there's no form for it. As the name suggests, it's humanitarian, which means it's quite discretionary. So when the application is put in for humanitarian reinstatement, it normally takes like, I've seen them take like 2, sometimes 3 years for them to get approved. So quite often it just kind of like, how does it, you know, not say tug their hearts per se, but you kind of have to put a compelling case together to say why it is that this person should still come to the United States after whoever it is had initially started the process has now passed away. If the person is here in the United States, the process is a little different. Like you were here, somebody was petitioning for you and that person has died, then there is a section of the law 204L that you qualify under and may have some options based on that. But if you're outside of the country, it's really humanitarian reinstatement that would be your go-to. But it's a very, like I said, there's no real time frame on it. You can pull up a form online and kind of see what you need to do and how long it's going to take type of thing.
Yes.
If a child is filing for his mom, for example, if the mom goes overseas on vacation and decides to stay while they wait, is that recommended? I mean, I'm not going to recommend it. I know life happens in a lot of ways. I mean, people's plans change. I think one of the one of the advantages, if you want to say. So in this situation, the child is filing for the mom. I'm going to assume you have to be a U.S. citizen to file for your parent. So say I am filing for my mother type of thing. So parents of U.S. citizens are able to overstay and not be penalized during the immigration application process. So if that particular parent was here on vacation, decides not to go back, which means they would have overstayed their visitor visa. So they stayed longer than 6 months because now they're waiting for the paperwork to complete here. Well, let's put it this way. If you filed for your mom was in Jamaica, that means you only filed an I-130 petition. So if she comes here on vacation, you then would have to make the decision, okay, she's going to stay here, and I'm now going to file an I-485 adjustment of status application for her here, as opposed to her going back to Jamaica and you doing consular processing where she would go to the embassy to get her visa.
Yes.
So you'd basically make that decision. She's now staying, and you'd file that application. So, I mean, it would work. It would be, for the most part, be okay as long as everything else with your mom is fine. You know, there are no history issues in her past. I've seen some people filing for their parents, but the parents, 20 years ago, the parent, was caught with drugs or whatever. That complicates the case to a whole other level. So if things are, pretty much squeaky clean, then it should work.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm just looking at, okay, there's one.
Can you be denied for citizenship if you've been arrested for domestic violence but not charged? Again, I answered a similar question earlier. It's all going to depend on so many things, but the most important one: when did it happen? When did it happen? Are you trying to apply when this thing may have happened last year? I would say to somebody like that, wait for it to be outside of the mandatory 5-year statutory period where they have to dig into it. So make it be 6-7 years after the fact. And of course, it's going to depend on what was the outcome of the case. But okay, you did say you were not charged. So I guess the record would just show that you were arrested, the charges were dropped or whatever it is. Again, it may depend on the officer. They may try to see how have you, rehabilitated yourself. How have you rehabilitated yourself? Are things different with you? Have you done, things that shows that you have changed, type of thing. The thing is, arrest is not proof that you lack good moral character, because that's what they're looking for when you apply for citizenship. They want to say, are you a person of good moral character? So maybe it was a bad accusation. Maybe the woman tell lie upon you and you were innocent, So there are a lot of things that will come into play there. So not usually that is going to be that you would be denied.
So we're gonna go. Let me see. We're closing off in the next 5 minutes. So let's.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's do this one. If a child files for his parent, how long before they get approved for a green card? And when they receive a green card, how long before the parents can then apply for their other child under 18 years old? Okay. Parent application. So U.S. citizens filing for parents. That's called an immediate relative category. And that is similar to when U.S. citizens file for their spouses. That's also an immediate relative category. Those categories are not bound by numerical visa limitations. Okay. So for that reason, they process pretty quickly. But like I was saying earlier, I called about one today and it's been 20 months for no reason. So it depends on where the parents are. But I said earlier, on average, it's like 18 months, 2 years, maybe at the stretch. The next answer to the second part of your question, once the parents get their green card, they can literally turn right around and file for their minor child. So there's no wait time. So if you file for your parents, you have a younger sibling, that is the best route to go, because your sibling would wait 16 years if you filed. But your parents can turn around and file for your younger brother and sister, and they'll probably get to come to the United States like in another 2 to 3 years because they're under 18, so they're considered a child.
Yes.
My daughter has submitted her I-130 and her visa has to be renewed now. Should she renew it back? It's just 1 year now. She could try. She could try. It's very possible they'll give it back to her, or they may just they may see on the system that an I-130 has been submitted for her, and they may decide, well, since an I-130 has been submitted for you, you now have immigrant intent, which means you're no longer eligible for a visitor visa. Because like I said, a visitor visa says you're coming to visit just for a short time and you plan to return. But the fact that somebody has filed an I-130 for you does say this person, you are now planning to come to live permanently in the US at some point. Granted, it may be 8-9 years from now. They don't care. They just may make the decision to say, we're not going to give you a visitor's visa. But I say try for it. You never know. I say try for it.
Yes.
If you start filing for a sister before she reaches 18, and the filing reach as far as paying NVC, do you believe it's almost close to end the case? How should I answer this question? Okay. I'm gonna assume you filed many years ago for your sister, because what it is, sometimes the NVC, when you log into NVC, you will actually see the writing there that says there is currently not a visa number available for you. We will notify you when it's time. Now, the fact that you see that option to pay would make me think that maybe there's a visa number available. But again, I've seen them make mistakes like that. In fact, I talked with somebody recently about that, where their visa number should not be available yet, but the system is making it seem as if it is. And so for that person, we told them, we're going to tread cautiously with this one, because it could be that there's a glitch. The number came up, it wasn't time for it. You go all the way to the embassy, and then the embassy says, oh, no, it's not time for it. You're going to have to wait. So it depends. I would need some more context. That person who asked me that question, you can email me more details about when you filed for your sister and stuff, and I can see how best to answer your question a little bit more in detail. Can a son file for his mom and stepdad if they both married before he was 18? Yes, you can. So as long as your parent, your biological parent, got married before you turned 18, then yes, then that parent, the person they married, would now classify as a step parent under the INA. They would classify as a step parent, and you would be able to file for them.
Okay.
If a father is filing for his son who is in his 30s now, how long will it take, and how long will it take for the son to file for his wife and kids? Okay, so if the father's a U.S. citizen, then he can file for a married adult child, and what will happen is that the wife and children will be added to that application. They get added at the NVC stage. The issue becomes if those children, if the wait is so long, so married children of U.S. citizens, I'm not sure how long the processing time is. That, I believe, is the F3 category on the visa bulletin. But married children of U.S. citizens, I'm thinking it's about 8 years. So if it is, this father is filing for his son is married, has children. If those children are like 16, 17, 18, and there is now an 8-year wait, some of those children would probably age out, because they would be over 21 when the visa number becomes available and they go into the embassy. But those children can be added to the application. Like I said, just to answer the question, they can be added at the NVC stage, and the family would be able to come up together. Wife would come up. If the children are under 21, they would also be able to immigrate at that time.
So this is the last question, Esther.
Okay. All right. My brother got deported for fraud 15 years ago. Can he apply for a visitor visa? Honestly, the way them tough at Kingston, especially because what happens, put it this way, they're really tough and with visitor visas, because they can deny for whatever, it's easy for them to deny somebody like that, even though it took place 15 years ago.
Yes.
What normally happens is easier if the person, somebody has filed for that particular person and they now have a petition, has been filed for them. They probably have an opportunity, depending on who filed for them, to probably go the waiver route based on what the fraud was. And there are lots of steps to that process. But for the short answer for the visitor visa, they probably wouldn't get it. They'll just probably say, no, okay, I get you a visa today.
Yes. Without any explanation, that's it.
Yeah. Them rough and cut and
Yes.
cut tie.
Yes.
For money.
Yes.
But yeah.
I don't know. You have anything you want to close with, Esther? We are at the end of the road for today.
I just want to reiterate what I started with yesterday.
Yes.
That Trump is not president yet. And even when he does take office on January 20th, I just want people to know they don't have to panic. Things are not just going to go belly up on that day. Some things may get a little bit more difficult. There may be a lot more steps to complete certain processes, but there's still hope. And there's still options for people, and we can work through it with them. Or if they're even doing it themselves, they'll probably still be able to just navigate the process. People just need to be more, mindful. I talked a lot yesterday about being more mindful about where you are, what you're doing, and what you're getting involved in and stuff like that, because certain little things might become an issue again, the raids and this, and that, or whatever. But I'm just saying, it's not, I don't want people to, leave out of even this live or just watching the video, just running around thinking, oh my God, things are going to go crazy. I don't think that's the case. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to say.
It was nice. It was nice having you.
Yeah, here too.
Hopefully next month we can do it again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
Right, so
it's about to just you and I just need to schedule it.
Yes. And get it done. All right, Esther. Yeah. Thanks a lot. It was nice having you.
Take care. Right. Bye, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.
So, viewers and subscribers, what is Kevin Atti saying here? Who are you talking, Kevin? Kevin, who are you talking, bro? It's not Esther yet. Somebody in the chat yet. I hope so, Because I see some little comment last night and I block some people. I don't run certain joke over here, We want your views, yes, but we don't run certain jokes. Last night, I see a little guy come on and I say some things and I blocked him. We want your views, but we don't take disrespect. Ladies here talking. I hope I'm not she talk. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And we'll be back. Yeah, man. The deportation will start on the first day of Mr. Trump in office. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Anyhow, thanks for joining. Bless up on yourself and thanks for sharing. I mean, notice say when I like up the video, last night I want to hold up on the day and when we go back and check. Look here. We don't follow some YouTubers and go and we don't beg likes and loves, That is what help our channel to grow, When you hit on the love button, and that help the channel to grow. And we're there at 208, we want to reach 1 million. We're ambitious, So if we are giving you quality information, the least you can do is touch on the love button. Not true? Yeah, man. Touch it, man. That helps the channel to grow. That is why we always ask, That is why we ask. You do it all the time. Yeah, man. Enough respect, man. These information that Esther imparted to us, between last night and tonight, to pay for a consultation, in a US, half hour consultation, talking about something specifically, is a lot of money, Esther was here talking to us for free, answering all of the questions. When normally you'd have to pay money if you do consultation. You know, Esther's number is on the bottom of the screen. Her email address is at the bottom of the screen also. The name of the law firm is Griffin and Griffin. She and her husband, Caleb, runs the law firm. And there is the website, www.lawgriff.com. Esther is highly recommended. Esther, now go scam you your money. You hear me tell you? Esther is highly recommended. So if you have any immigration issue, you can always consult with her. And once you tell her, say, Popeye, you are going to be given a discount. Got it? Yeah, man, you're going to be given a discount. So once again, thanks for joining. We're going to do it again next month. We're going to find the time and do it. We're going to do it for how long? And we ensure, because of what happened last night, we are scheduled for last night, but because of what happened, we came back on tonight. So, since Trump was Senate, Fabio, where I preach, Fabio? Fabio says since Trump control the House and Senate, he can literally do whatever he wants. There won't be. And so you go, Fabio. There are still laws where some things have to go through court same way here. There's still a constitution of the United States. So it's not about him doing what he wants. Anyhow, is Esther only an immigration lawyer? It's a law firm, Sasha. It's a law firm. She specializes in immigration law, but her husband is there too. Yeah, man, they do other stuff. So you can always consult with them and they will tell you exactly what they do. But they do other stuff as well. It's a law firm. You can always consult with them. Yeah? Is a 154. You see, Terry and someone. I see you back some money in your pocket. Not true, Terry. Terry, they say it's a 100. Hey, Terry, we see you back some money in your pocket, man. No respect, man. No respect. The consultation, very hard to change. The constitution, very hard to change. Yeah. I know that's one overnight change, Petrim. I mean, put it this way. Mr. Trump is coming in. Persons vote for him. American citizens vote for him. Them want as him president. There's nothing you nor I can do without it. Like Esther said last night, if you are in the United States and you are undocumented, stay off of the radar. Stay off of the radar. No go on social media and advertise yourself. Avoid conflicts. Look here, I've been going to the United States for over 20 odd years, about 30 odd years. And nobody can smoke no ganja split side of me, for all these years, me I go there, Me no runs and it's not like I'm living there. So I'm saying, you did it, say you're undocumented. You might have go there and decide to stay. You might have go across the border. But then you go there and you're in a passa, you're in a fight, you're in a this, you're in a that. Stay off of the radar. Avoid the conflicts. You understand what I say? Avoid the conflicts. Avoid the fighting business. The man they will love beat up woman and all these things. Oh, no bother with it. Stay off of the radar because once you get entangled with law enforcement and them start asking for documentation and the documentation we present is your Jamaican passport, them start ask other questions and at this you get yourself in a trouble. You understand? Yeah, man, at this you get yourself in a problem. So you have to avoid them things there. You understand? Avoid them things there. Just stay off of the radar. If you used to travel, you live in New York and you want to go to Georgia because you say, Butcher will go down there, whosoever go there. Turn on New York, man. Stay in New York. You want to jump on plane, go here so and this, or you want to jump on Greyhound, go there so and go. Turn on New York until the thing sort out. You understand? Stay put, man. Stay put. Stay off of the radar. You know, say you did you used to drive. You know what they driving. Make somebody else drive you. Eh? Stay off of the radar. I saw the thing set. But bless upon yourself. I Petrium. Yeah, man, enough respect. Petrium. It's Petrium or Petri. Okay. Petri JM. Okay. Petri JM. Yeah, man. So we just have to pray for our black people. He will be knocking on doors, Popeye. Donald Trump now knock on nobody door. Donald Trump now knock on nobody door. See, I say he will be knocking on door. Donald Trump now knock on nobody door. Remember me tell you, he never do it 2019 to 2020. You think same will do it, you know? Donald Trump have time for knock on nobody door. I mean, him have people around him, yes. I know what you mean, man. Let's play with you. But him have people around him where you know, them believe. But look here. You know, say, enough Jamaicans living in the United States, you know. Them glad Trump win, you know. I was telling somebody today, you know. Enough Jamaicans vote for Donald Trump. Enough of them. You know some of the reasons. You know some of the reasons. May I tell you some of the reasons why enough. I'm not talking about Kamala now, you know. I'm talking about Donald Trump. Enough Jamaicans vote for Donald Trump because of his immigration policy and other things. But more so because of the immigration policy. And listen me carefully now and tell me say a lie me I tell. Tell me say a lie me I tell. Enough Jamaican. You think say enough Jamaican would they live in America how long as citizens out there work? Them like the fact say Tom stroke, jump across the border and come live on the same lane where him live on. You feel say enough Jamaican love that? No, they don't love it. You think say enough Jamaican, right here now, enough Jamaican left Jamaica and go away and sort out themselves because of whatever go on in Jamaica. You think say them like the fact, say that guy around the store or that girl around the store jump the border and come up there? No, they don't love it. Eh? Some of the reasons, you know, is for security reasons and other things like that. You know, because they might know a guy who's a hoodlum of Jamaica and then jump across the border and up there. But enough Jamaican bad mind. Enough for we bad mind. Enough for we no one no say. Look here. One time, you know, enough people who go to America and start out, them feel like they're on top of the world, you know. You think say them want no say. That guy they were living at the broke down house around there so. Come up back and live and I go start out too. Eh? Enough Jamaicans bad mind. Remember me tell you that. There are other reasons, you know, but me can't tell you say. Enough are we Jamaicans, them bad mind. And that is why them happy because them want Mr. Trump with the immigration policy. Come send home that boy down there so. What come up here hype? You think I joke? Enough Jamaican were in the United States right here now. Them want Mr. Trump to come in. That boy down there so. What drive that Benz there? What me know saying on no document. Me want that boy if you go back to Jamaica, because the boy to show off. You think I joke? Eh? If I lie me I tell me say I lie me I tell. Tell me say I lie me I tell. Enough of the Jamaican them who you hear support Trump. A bad mind them bad mind. Remember me tell you. I mean, listen me, you know. This is not me saying that people don't have a right to support who they want to support, you know. That is not what I am saying. And if you vote for Mr. Trump, your business that. If you vote for Kamala, your business that. But me I talk about with Jamaican. Me I talk about what me see. What me see. Enough of them who you see vote for Trump. A bad mind, them bad mind. Because them want, when Mr. Trump come in with immigration policy, the boy down there so, why drive the X6 there? Why no have nothing in Jamaica and come up here and come show off? And the boy no document. He just get one New York driver's license. Me want them send him back home. You think I joke me I make? You think I joke me I make? Same so the thing set. You hear me I tell you? Same so it set. But at the end of the day, a lot, like Esther said last night, a lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things are going to slow down because of the policies. Because guess what happened now? Either coming like when you hear say in a Jamaica, either one car seat law for how long, and it wasn't being enforced. And then now them start to enforce it, and everybody up in arms about it. Well, I see in the United States. There are certain immigration laws where it relaxed under the Biden administration. When Mr. Trump come in, all them are going to do is enforce it. There's a lot of action what them can take, what they don't need no new laws for, eh? Some of the older Jamaicans that live in the US. Hey, there's a lot of laws where Esther said last night it's about the 100 within the 100 mile of the border law. I never know about that. So if you live within 100 miles of the border, or them hold you within 100 miles of the border, them can ask you certain questions. Yeah, it's a whole heap of things where them will come in and them will go and just simply enforcing the laws. Them will go back and find out some 1860 and some 1720 laws where, right now, man. Right now, you have some scholars who sit down and go through the immigration law with a fine-tooth comb, if you know what them can do when them come in, Eh? So the thing said. True, but genuine people here that really want the opportunity to make a better life, and some here wasting time as well. That are true, Sasha Reid. That are true. Yeah, man, enough people. That's the thing, enough people. I have seen that in so many different areas. Some older people did a long time and them now make no use of it. And some young people or some new people come in. And when them start make stride, yeah, some the older set of people them who did a long time start bad mind them and start burn them out. As the thing said. But it is what it is. But I can advise you, my brothers and sisters, say, if you know somebody in the States who not documented, because me not call nobody illegal, Me not call nobody illegal. Me I talk about if you are not documented. You understand? Stay under the radar. Avoid conflicts. Them party the way you used to go. Avoid them. Look here, man. You call this, you go across the border then. Call this, you go across the border. Right? And you're going over there going to apply for asylum. Keep your damn ass quiet now, sir. Keep your little self quiet now. You think say Jamaica, you're the way you can, every pan and knock, you go there. And you go there on TikTok a flash with you how much US dollars. Look here. Anyhow, I am not the professional, but Trump is going to take undocumented and deport them. I think they will not bother take them to court. Thanks, Papa. You're such a wonder. Well. That's what Esther was alluding to that last night, Say a lot of the things, even when some cases used to be dragged out, that now go up again. And what we need to understand is the Republican Party control the Senate, them control the House, and them have a Republican president. So they will be appointing the judges. The federal judges. So them are going to put who them want in place to deal with them things faster. You understand? That's how you go, So, anyway, we're there more than an hour and a half now. Bless upon yourself. Thanks for joining. Enough respect. Thank you. Blessed love, everybody.